In this room, we show only a single piece, but an extraordinary one. We display a mock-up for a book never published when the artist was still alive, which we titled Ci-Contre. Ci-Contre means opposite, in front of you, at a certain counterbalance. What kind of object is it? We can see half of it, because during the exhibition we need to change the frames for conservation reasons, but in this frame, we have framed centerfolds of what was meant to become a book. So we have a one-for-one mock-up. Today, a design like that is done on a computer and everything is virtual. But in the 30s, and even later, a mock-up had to be made from paper and photo prints. That went out to the printing house and served as the basis for making metal plates from which books were printed. After the success of the Paris book, Vorobeichic decided to continue on that path and continued to use a photo book as his form of expression. But he wanted to do something more abstract, not just a story about a city, not a story about a district, but a photographic story about the world. In my view, Ci-Contre is an anthem in praise of modern photography observing the world. Each of these pictures is a new eye that looks at the reality around us and expands our imagination and our way of looking at the world. To make this mock-up, Vorobeichic used 110 photographs, as we learned from the cover, and prompted by his former professor Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, sent the design to a German publisher, art historian and critic, Franz Roh. Franz Roh was supposed to publish it as part of a series of books presenting the achievements of modern artistic and avant-garde photography, but he started to encounter financial difficulties. He kept the mock-up and the books, but he did not publish anything. Vorobeichic kept demanding its return, but Roh did not send it back. Hitler came to power. Roh had to quickly flee from Germany and that mock-up was never heard of again. Surprisingly, in the late 60s, Franz Roh's assistant, Roh survived the war, inherited his entire archive which was full of avant-garde photographs. In this archive, he discovered a mock-up signed Moi Ver, spelled with a W. He had no idea who that person was. He had not heard about such a photographer, so he started to dig. Alas, he was impossible to find. The name did not appear in the press of the time. Eventually, through an artist in Switzerland, he managed to obtain some information about who Moi Ver was, and learned that he was the same Moi Ver, spelled with a V on the cover of the Paris book, and the same Moi Ver who uses the name Vorobeichic spelled with a V and CH in a tiny book about Vilnius, that this Moi Ver Vorobeichic is currently named Moshe Raviv and lives in Tel Aviv, Israel, and he no longer does photography. Now he paints. Thus, Jürgen Wilde, the former assistant of Franz Roh, who in the meantime became a collector and gallery owner, reached Moshe Raviv, visited him in Tel Aviv, and told him that he had the mock-up. The gentleman reached an agreement. The mock-up stayed with Jürgen Wilde, and the artist was found, and we could say rediscovered. Thanks to this, Vorobeichic participated in exhibitions that celebrated the 50th anniversary of the establishment of Bauhaus, but it did not lead to him being fully rediscovered in Europe. In any case, the mock-up is a very important work. Finally, after his death, it was published as a book, in the exact shape and form designed by the artist. For the curious, I would like to explain what we can see on the small projection that we have here. When Vorobeichic decided that the Ci-Contre mock-up had been irretrievably lost, he started to work on the new version of this book and made a tiny mock-up, even two of them, a kind of a sketch where he worked out compositions, clusters of photographs. But this is a completely different version where pictures repeat only to a very small extent. By reproducing this small mock-up, we are showing his curious working method. Let me invite you to the next room where we discover another of Vorobeicic's photography projects, a very important one about Vilnius, his hometown, and its Jewish district.